My wife's lover laughed when I caught them. I didn't say a word, I just uploaded the proof to her family group. 10 minutes later, her brother was at his door. I, 34 male, felt like a stranger in my own life. A project manager by trade, I was used to predicting outcomes, spotting risks, and fixing problems before they blew up. For 6 years, I thought my marriage was the one project I had under control. I gave it all my time, my patience, my trust. But clearly I miscalculated. 3 days ago, I came home early from a business trip. The deal had closed ahead of schedule, and I was feeling proud, excited even. I bought Emma's favorite wine on the way, planning to surprise her, but instead, I was the one surprised. When I walked into our bedroom, there they were, Emma and her friend from work. Their faces weren't even shocked. They actually laughed as if catching them was a punchline. My wife muttered something about explaining later, but the damage was already done. Instead of shouting, I lifted my phone and hit record. Their laughter, their arrogant sigh caught it all. And then I left without a single word. Silence became my weapon. Back home, I opened our family group chat, the one with her parents, her brother, her cousins. Without explanation, I dropped the video in. Within seconds, the chat lit up. Disbelief, anger, outrage. Her brother's response came fast. Where does he live? 10 minutes later, I got a text from a mutual friend. Her brother was already at the guy's door. I just sat there, wine bottle still unopened, realizing everything I thought I knew about my marriage was gone. And yet, strangely, I wasn't broken. I was just done. By the time her brother arrived at Alexander's door, I was already 3 steps ahead. I wasn't panicking. I was cataloging. Every moment, every reaction, every piece of evidence, it was all data. I stepped. The video in the family group chat was just the first strike. I sat in the hotel room staring at the laptop screen. I had labeled the folder project Dissolution for a reason. This wasn't revenge, it was a controlled operation. One misstep, and the narrative would flip. Emma would be the victim, and I'd be the unstable, vengeful husband. Her brother Jack handled Alexander quickly. According to him, the guy's smirk disappeared. The second Jack appeared. No shouting, no fists, just presence. That was enough. Alexander slammed the door. I felt a small surge of satisfaction. Not triumph, just relief. The first domino had fallen. Next was Emma. She found me at the hotel lobby 2 days later. Righteous fury plastered all over her face. A lawyer, Patrick? Are you serious? When I told her that all communication would go through Catherine, my attorney. You lied a match to my life, I said calmly. You destroyed trust, reputation, and our shared future. That's why this isn't a conversation anymore. Evidence control. Her face went blank. She didn't understand. The disrespect her lover laughing in my presence was worse than the infidelity itself. That was the linchpin. That moment alone justified every calculated move I'd made since catching them. Meanwhile, the propaganda campaign began. Emma and Alexander were spinning stories to anyone who would listen. Friends, colleagues, neighbors. I was emotionally distant, controlling, manipulative. Alexander was the hero swooping in to save the damsel. Predictable. I focused on collecting intelligence. Alexander's social media was sloppy, flaunting luxury he didn't earn. Condos, designer clothes, leisure trips. A lifestyle consultant, more like a trust fund dependent. I traced the condo ownership, dug into the Cole family trust, discovered the patriarch Jerry Cole. Public records, old articles, obscure charity boards, they all confirmed my suspicions. Alexander's life was a facade. Jack made a few calls to his network, confirming the family would respond if Alexander stepped out of line. 2 weeks of digging later, I had everything. Proof, visuals, receipts, public records. Evidence tying Alexander to the betrayal and exposing Emma's total disregard for our marriage. Every folder, every screenshot, every time-stamped video clip was a bullet. By the end, I wasn't just reacting. I was controlling the battlefield. Her family would see the truth. Alexander would face consequences. Emma couldn't spin her narrative. Every move was calculated, precise, unemotional. And yet, beneath it all, I felt the first real pangs of grief. Not for her, not for him, but for the life I thought I had. The marriage I'd invested 6 years into. That part of me, the husband who believed in her, was gone. This wasn't just damage control. This was survival.
After the packages were sent,
I waited. Not anxiously, but like a project manager waiting for the first indicators of system response. Emma's parents opened theirs first. The silence that followed on the family chat was deafening. Then messages started trickling in: questions, panic, outrage. Her mother, Rachel, called me first. Voice tight, formal, almost clinical. "Patrick, what is this? Why would you do this?" I stayed calm. "You'll see the truth in the materials I sent. No explanations needed."
how the data speaks for itself.
Her father, Gregory, was next. Anger simmered in his tone, but I detected doubt underneath. That doubt was my leverage. For 6 years I'd been careful, precise, predictable. Now my patience and preparation were paying off. The real shockwave hit when Jerry Cole called. Alexander's uncle, the patriarch of the trust controlling the condo and accounts. His voice was gravelly with disbelief. "Patrick, the evidence you've provided? This is unacceptable." I let it sit. It's reality. The decisions are now yours to make, legally and morally. Within 24 hours, Alexander's life changed. Frozen accounts, condo access revoked. His social media cleaned up, but the evidence remained. No more smirks, no more laughing at my expense, just consequences. Meanwhile, the Hawthorns were imploding. Emma had thought the packages were just a minor inconvenience. She didn't anticipate that documented infidelity, theft, and disregard for family honor would dismantle her support system. Calls between her parents were heated, frantic. Her brother Jack orchestrated an internal family debrief. He was loyal, precise, effective. 2 days later, I saw Emma. She cornered me again, fury radiating off her. "You'll regret this," she spat, voice shaking. I looked at her calmly, controlled. "The only regret here is that you thought you could manipulate people and get away with it. Everything else is just consequences." I realized then that she had always underestimated me. She thought my calm demeanor meant weakness, that I would react emotionally, irrationally, forgive icily. She misread my silence. She ignored my analytical mind. I spent the next week reviewing every detail in the project dissolution folder. Each piece of evidence, each timestamp, each verified public record was a bulletproof narrative. I organized it, cross-referenced it, ensured there were no gaps. This was meticulous. This was final. And through it all, I felt a strange sense of control returning. My life, which had felt like a collapse of trust, reputation, and predictability, was slowly being reclaimed. Not through vengeance, but through precision, through preparation. The dominoes were falling, and I was the one who had tipped the first one. By the time the dust settled, the first ripples of real-world fallout were visible. Alexander had lost access to the condo. Accounts frozen. Social media posts disappeared. Smug arrogance replaced with visible panic. All thanks to documentation, timing, and Jack's intervention. The Hawthorns were next. Emma's carefully constructed reputation began crumbling under the weight of proof. Her parents could no longer ignore evidence. They were forced to confront the truth about her betrayal. Every call, every message from me had a calculated purpose. The truth had been delivered without emotion, leaving no room for denial. Emma herself was spiraling. Friends started pulling away as the narrative shifted. Alexander's failure and Emma's betrayal became an undeniable story. No more excuses, no more sympathy. I watched from the sidelines, my own emotions contained. Anger, grief, and relief intertwined. I had never felt so detached, yet so precise. The necklace, the silver anniversary gift Alexander had flaunted, became a symbol. Shared online by Alexander himself, inadvertently, it confirmed everything. My coordinates, my marriage, my betrayal turned into undeniable proof. That one post was the final piece, the linchpin that cemented the collapse of their charade. I meticulously recorded every move, every reaction. Evidence wasn't just legal insurance, it was psychological leverage. The Hawthorns faced reality they had tried to bury. Jack coordinated the cleanup, ensuring Emma and Alexander could no longer manipulate their social circle. Their narrative had evaporated. 2 weeks later, I received confirmation. Alexander's trust was being dissolved, property sold, accounts closed. All resources that had enabled his lifestyle and facilitated betrayal were gone. I didn't rejoice. This wasn't satisfaction. It was observation. A project concluded. Emma and Alexander's great love story collapsed spectacularly. Public humiliation, social isolation, and the harsh truth of their actions were consequences they couldn't escape. My involvement was deliberate but detached. I didn't celebrate. I monitored. I recorded. I ensured nothing could be denied or spun. Finally, Emma reached out, this time through a formal channel, my attorney. No threats, no pleading, just acknowledgement of the documentation and the consequences. She had no ground left to contest. Silence had worked its purpose. Through all this, I realized something important. The betrayal wasn't just infidelity. It was the arrogance, the disregard, the laughter in my presence. That was the catalyst. The consequence wasn't vengeance, it was restoring equilibrium, ensuring responsibility. I returned to my hotel room, finally breathing. The project was nearing completion. Documentation, evidence, verification, all boxes checked. The system was stabilizing. My life, though damaged, was reclaimable. The chaos had been transformed into control, and for the first time in weeks I could imagine a future without manipulation, without betrayal, without uncertainty. The dominoes had fallen, the battlefield was quiet, but the lessons remained. Once the initial shockwaves hit, the final moves began. Emma's parents, faced with undeniable proof, started taking steps to protect their own reputations. The calls, the frantic conversations, the attempts to spin the story all failed. The documentation I had sent left no room for distortion. Alexander, meanwhile, was scrambling. His life had been a facade, supported by family money and a sense of invincibility. That illusion shattered. Frozen accounts, revoked access, and public exposure left him powerless. His smirk vanished. Pride replaced by panic. I observed it quietly. This was never personal, it was about consequences. Emma reached out again, this time attempting negotiation. She proposed restitution, explanations, apologies. I referred everything to my attorney, no personal contact. I wasn't negotiating emotion. I was confirming reality. Every interaction, every move was being logged, filed, and cataloged. Precision mattered more than feelings. Her brother Jack remained my quiet ally. He monitored Alexander, ensured there was no retaliation. He handled matters efficiently, ensuring Alexander's behavior would no longer threaten anyone. His loyalty, combined with careful documentation, created a network of checks around the chaos. Then came the confirmation I needed. Alexander's trust was officially dissolved. Condo sold, accounts closed, and financial leverage removed. Emma had no shield left. Her manipulations, her lies, her attempts at spinning sympathy, all crumbled. Every friend, every family member who had been unsure now had proof. The truth was absolute. I sent one last update to the family group. Not a word, just a brief note in the folder. Project dissolution complete. It was cold, precise, and final.
Ow.
No need for emotional closure. The evidence, the timeline, the consequences, they spoke for themselves. Emma, faced with undeniable proof, finally had to confront the reality of her choices. The necklace, the laughter, the theft, it all pointed to the same conclusion. She had underestimated me. My silence, my calm, had been more powerful than any argument or confrontation she could have managed. For me, the aftermath was quiet but heavy. The house sold, the memories packed away, each photograph, each item of hers removed and documented. I didn't linger in anger. I didn't celebrate. I cataloged, analyzed, and ensured nothing could be misrepresented again. Through it all, the lessons became clear. Betrayal isn't just emotionally, it's systematic. And when a system fails, documentation, preparation, and calculated moves are the only way to regain control. I hadn't just survived. DH had stabilized the environment, ensured accountability, and regained equilibrium. As I moved into a new, smaller apartment, I finally allowed myself to breathe. The project was complete. The chaos was over. And for the first time in months, I could imagine life free of manipulation, lies, and betrayal. The battlefield was quiet. The dominoes had fallen. The week after the packages were delivered, silence fell like a heavy curtain. Alexander was cut off, completely accounts frozen, condos sold, the illusion of his life crumbling.
Ow.
Emma's carefully curated world collapsed too. Her parents were left to reconcile her betrayal with the evidence they could no longer ignore. The dominoes had fallen, and the battlefield was finally quiet. I didn't feel victorious. Triumph would have required joy in their suffering, and there was none. What I felt was clarity and closure. Months of lies, manipulation, and betrayal had left scars, but those scars were now accounted for. Every detail documented, every truth revealed, every consequence enforced. The house was sold. Every item tied to the life I had shared with Emma was gone: photographs, gifts, personal mementos. I cataloged what needed to be archived and removed the rest. There was no lingering anger. This wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. Space, order, and control over my life had been restored. Even so, the emotional toll remained. Some mornings, grief hit like a cold wave, unexpected and sharp. I stared at the past memories that belonged to someone I no longer recognized. Yet beneath that grief, I felt a strange sense of liberation. The life I thought I had was gone, but a clearer, untainted future stretched out before me. Therapy became a refuge, helping me process what my analytical mind had already turned into strategy. For months, I had treated the betrayal like a project: document, control, neutralize risk. Now, I needed to process the residue, the grief, the anger, the quiet mourning for what I had lost. Small steps became my anchors: cooking my own meals, organizing my apartment, reclaiming routines I had neglected. Emma and Alexander, their downfall unfolded predictably. Public exposure, financial consequences, and social fallout dismantled the lives they had built on arrogance and deceit. I observed from a distance, detached, as the system corrected itself. Their narrative was gone, replaced by undeniable truth. For me, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of rebuilding. There were no timelines, no projects, no spreadsheets. It's quiet reflection, gradual healing, and a reclaiming of normalcy. Freedom wasn't instant, but it was real. I had survived, documented, and ensured accountability. Looking back, I realized something profound. The betrayal wasn't just infidelity, it was arrogance. It was disrespect. It was the laughter that could have destroyed me if I hadn't acted. But I had acted. Carefully, deliberately, and with precision. And now, for the first time in years, I could breathe. The project was closed. The data was clear. The battlefield was quiet. And in that quiet, I discovered something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not satisfaction, not triumph, just peace. This wasn't about revenge. It was about truth, clarity, and taking control when everything fell apart. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I documented. I acted. And I walked away with my dignity intact. Some people learn the hard way that actions have consequences and silence can be louder than any argument. If this story hit you the way it hit me, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories like this, and leave a comment below. What would you have done if you were in my place? Would you have gone silent, or would you have confronted them face to face?